There are rich countries in the world and that you would definitely want to know and go. So, what are your criteria on which you can define a country to be rich or poor? Let's see what we have for you. Hey guys, welcome to Brain Feed. We are here with the world's richest countries. Let's see some countries that we have for you which will leave you stunned. So, let's get started. Also, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell icon so you don't miss any of the latest updates. What do you regard as rich? Maybe rich in terms of finance, where people are rich and they earn good? Yes, you might be right. Rich country is called rich when they have a high income per capita, high purchasing power, and less unemployment. So let's see some of these countries. Among the list we have Denmark. It is in the list because of the high GDP, the total amount of goods and finished services produced in a country each year, or GDP, divided by the population, is known as the gross domestic product, GDP, per capita. Denmark has a GDP per person of 61,478 US dollars. Its economic model, called flex security, has no minimum wage, permits the opening of a business in a matter of hours, and permits employers to hire and fire employees as they see fit. On the other hand, there are many collective bargaining agreements between employers and employees, and unionization is common. They are eligible for excellent unemployment insurance, but in order to receive it, you must pay a membership fee to the unemployment funds that are typically run by unions and receive government assistance. After 6 months, the insurance is halved, and after 2 years, it completely expires. What do you think of the Danish system? Do you prefer flexible security, or do job stability and the minimum wage matter more to you? There is also a social support system in place to ensure that everyone has the minimum necessary to live. The next on the list is USA. With a GDP per capita of $68,309, this nation is the world's largest importer and second largest exporter of goods. It is also home to 30% of the world's millionaires, 40 multimillionaires, and 139 out of 150 of the largest corporations. 86.4% of the country's economy is made up of the private sector, which is largely dependent on the 30 million small businesses that employ 36% of the workforce, 37% of which are employed by large businesses, and 14% by the government. Only slightly over half of these small businesses survive after 5 years, which is certain. Although its population has the highest income among developed nations, not everything is perfect because there are more imports than exports. Compared to other advanced economies, the welfare state is smaller and fewer goods are distributed. Only this developed nation does not guarantee paid sick or paternity leave. The wealthiest Forbes reports that only 3 people, Warren Buffett, Jeff Bezos, and Bill Gates, controlled more wealth than the bottom half of the population in 2017. 10% controlled 72% of the wealth between 2010 and 2011. In that year, more than 500,000 people were homeless. In 2028, 18.5 million Americans lived in extreme poverty. Between 1998 and 2016, the income of the middle class stagnated, and 15% of the population did not have health insurance. The third one is Luxembourg. Luxembourg is the richest country in the world, distinguished by high income levels and a low unemployment rate. While its wealth remains stable, its inflation rate increased to 6.8% in August 2022. The World Economic Forum attributes Luxembourg's high GDP primarily to the large number of people who work in this small, landlocked country while living in its neighboring Western European neighbors. The developed infrastructure and high labor market values draw investment and clones of the major outside companies. The country made an excellent adjustment after being heavily dependent on the steel and iron industry until it stopped producing profits in the 1970s. Nowadays, Luxembourg benefits from a variety of industries, primarily from an import-export economy based on financial services, and from having one of the most educated labor forces in the world. Small and medium-sized businesses have grown, and multinational corporations have increased their demand for highly skilled workers who can speak several languages. The nation also has a modest but thriving agricultural sector. The fourth one is Switzerland. Switzerland has a per capita GDP of 75,880 and is divided into cantons that share a common constitution, currency, and foreign policy. Every 4 months, a referendum on the most important laws is held using a direct democracy system. Low taxes and a welcoming business climate. Because of Switzerland's neutrality, the banking sector is significant. Nestle, Roche, and the watch and pharmaceutical companies Rolex, Richmond, and Swatch, which account for 28% of all extraterritorial funds worldwide, are among the notable businesses in its manufacturing sector. Did you know that despite having a high standard of living, only 37% of the population owns their own home, and that with the exception of the canton of Geneva, there is no minimum wage? They won't pick up your trash if you don't use official bags or don't put government stickers. Number 5 is Qatar. The once sleeping peninsula off the eastern coast of Saudi Arabia has transformed in the last 20 years from a small fishing industry and almost no schools to a significant oil exporting world center. In 1997, Qatar started shipping a lot of natural gas to Spain and Japan, and in the early 2000s, it started shipping more natural gas to other nations. Its GDP increased exponentially from $30 billion to over $200 billion after 15 years and 14 natural gas plants. With reserves of nearly 900 trillion cubic feet, Qatar has the world's largest natural gas reserves, surpassing Iran and Russia. This resource accounts for 60% of Qatar's total GDP. It started producing 46,500 barrels per day in 1951, after finding oil in 1939 and natural gas in 1983. The royal family amassed a large portion of the income, with shares also going to Great Britain, the country's dominant nation, even though some of it was used to begin modernizing the nation. After becoming independent in 1971, Khalifa bin Hamad overthrew his father and reduced the allowances given to the royal family while increasing spending on social programs, housing, healthcare, education, and pensions. The nation gains sizable returns from investments in foreign companies, banks, and even the soccer team Paris Saint-Germain and London real estate. Next is Singapore. In addition to having the second busiest port in the world by cargo tonnage, the largest ship repair facility, and a significant oil refinery, this city-state with a per capita GDP of $102,742 has the highest percentage of millionaires. 1 in every 6 households has $1 million or more. No minimum wage, very low income taxes, and almost no duties. The government requires its citizens to set aside a quarter of their income, saying they will use it for emergencies, pensions, or education. To combat poverty, the state provides the neediest households with the equivalent of about $295 to $740 for health and education. Additionally, it offers each citizen with children with a voucher worth $122,500, gives low-income students discounted laptops, and reimburses them for the cost of public transportation. However, there is no freedom of speech, and there are strict laws prohibiting chewing gum, and offenders face up to 2 years in prison. The last one on the list is Norway. With its advanced educational systems, distinctive social security system, and universal health care, Norway is renowned for having the highest standard of living on Earth and ranking first on the Human Development Index. Its raw oil and gas exports drive the economy, and a wealth of reserves, including those for fresh water, minerals, lumber, hydropower, seafood, and hydro, ensures future prosperity. Since the 1970s, oil has been another profitable export for Norway. While parents make sure that children learn the value of productivity in school from an early age, the government invests in providing free education for its citizens. In Norway, staying busy at work is a cultural requirement. Without it, people would not enjoy life. The two main industries are technology and telecommunications. With unemployment and poverty rates at 5% and 0.5% respectively, it is understandable why other countries aspire to Norway's standard of living. Despite the high cost of living in Norway, Norwegians don't mind investing in their country's economy, and their high wages allow them to spend lavishly abroad. These are not all. There are many more countries that are doing well, and the citizens are very happy there. And this is it for today, guys. What are your thoughts on today's video? Share with us in the comments below. Also, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to our channel, and ring the bell icon so you don't miss any of the latest updates. If you liked the video, consider watching some of our other videos seen on screen. And thank you for watching.